So, welcome. This is First Parish in Cambridge, Unitarian Universalist. And as Unitarian Universalists, we have principles and values. I'm not going to go through all of them. The one I like to quote when we do events here is, we believe in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And that's what we're here for tonight. My name is Susan Nye. I am co-chair of our Middle East Education Group here at First Parish. The other co-chair is Grace Hall. I don't know if she has come in from out here. And then we have a few people from our committee here as well. We have Rashid Sheikh and Sharon DeVos, and Don McGinnis is here, as well as Peter Lober and Grace. One of the things I like to do is make sure people know where the restrooms are. You'd go through this door here on my right and go past the stairs, and you would find a couple of restrooms. And then up those stairs, there are 2 more restrooms if the other ones are busy. So the only other thing I'll do is remind you to make sure your cell phones will not be ringing during this. It is being recorded. And again, we're really happy that you're here. And now I'm going to give the mic over to Nancy Murray.
Thank you very much, Susan. And thank everyone here for coming to this event. We're very, very happy to have 2 old friends and a 3rd friend of the 2 friends. I'm Nancy Murray of the Alliance for Water Justice in Palestine. Yeah. Thank you for signing up. You'll be getting some of our material. Every week you'll get a list of standouts and demonstrations, and every 2 weeks you'll get a bi-weekly summary of what's happening in Palestine. Now, there are peacekeepers in the room. We want this to be a very sort of good discussion without interruptions. So when we get to the Q&A, if you have questions, keep them very brief because we don't have a huge amount of time. So I would like to thank very much the Middle East Education Group of the Church for making the space available, and Susan Nye, who you just heard from. And I'd like to thank the 18 co-sponsoring groups. Rather than read them all, I put them on this sheet so you can read who is co-sponsoring. But let's give them all a big hand because, they have been keeping the struggle going through very difficult times recently. And thank you who have made donations out front to the work of Issa Amro in Hebron. Also on this sheet, if you didn't have cash and you want to donate another way, you could donate electronically to the website that is listed there. And you could also purchase a book at the end, one of Peter's, his latest book. We have copies. So please, let's get started. I don't want to take more time. I'm going to turn it over to Ashley Weiss-Laird, who is the pastor of the Baptist Church in Jamaica Plain and an old friend of Issa's, and I will then introduce Peter.
Good evening. Good evening. There they are. I want to start just with the formal introduction that you may have read already, but I want to share that first. Issa Amro is a human rights defender based in Hebron City, West Bank, the co-founder of the Direct Action Group Youth Against Settlements, and the executive director of Working for Peace and Justice, Friends of Hebron. Amro is popularly referred to as the Palestinian Gandhi. He's been widely recognized for his work encouraging peaceful resistance against the Israeli occupation, for which he has been imprisoned scores of times. From 2016 until 2021, he was on trial in Israeli military court on 18 charges deemed baseless by Amnesty International. In 2024, Amro and Youth Against Settlements received the Right Livelihood Award, known as the Alternative Nobel Prize. He's been nominated this year, 2025, for the Nobel Peace Prize. I just also want to take a quick moment and share that over the past few years, I've been able to take groups to Palestine, and we've been able to meet with Issa and his colleagues in Hebron, where they're doing amazing human rights and justice work for Hebron and for all of Palestine. And while in Hebron, we've seen the firsthand reality there. It's a city that's had its very heart ripped out by occupation and settler colonialism. The Palestinian community there lives in the midst of a brutal system of apartheid, surrounded by violent settlers who are defended by an army of Israeli soldiers, many of whom are from this country. Despite all this, Issa always welcomes us with hospitality, generosity, and kindness that is beyond what we could ever ask. Every day, he faces hatred and abuse for the work that he does and for his willingness to stand up and speak out. And I don't mean social media trolls or counter-protesters, but the literal neighbors who have stolen the house next door and walk around with semi-automatic weapons. There are people in this world whose lives are a testimony to what they believe. And truly, Issa is one of those people. He's one of the bravest people that I've ever had the privilege to know. And I hope that you'll join with me in welcoming him here this evening.
Thank you very much, Ashley. And I would like to now introduce PETER BEINART, who I'm sure is familiar to many people in the room. Who here listens to his weekly BEINART notebook? Yeah, and who has read his columns in the New York Times? Yeah. More. Yeah, we want more. I have learned so much over the years from his writings and his interviews with people. He finds really great speakers, many of them from Palestine, who have really elevated our understanding of what is going on. They're invariably thought-provoking and informative. He's a professor of journalism and political science at Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. He's the editor-at-large of Jewish Currents, and he's a non-resident fellow now at the Foundation for Middle East Peace. And I do highly recommend his book, Being Jewish After the Destruction of Gaza, A Reckoning, which is beautifully crafted and really gets to the heart of so many issues. So again, I'll say we have copies, and afterwards, maybe he will sign some. Okay, over to you two.
Great, so it's going to be a conversation.
Nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you again. It's
You
nice.
look great, come on.
So do you. So do you. Gosh, it's such an honor to be here with you, Issa. I mean, I guess there's been a lot of conversation in the United States in the last couple of months about the question of courage, and there are people at places like Harvard University who feel where people feel threatened by Donald Trump, or at Columbia University, or at Paul Weiss law firm, or Jeff Bezos, all these incredibly powerful people faced with this threat from Donald Trump. They basically seem to say, well, we have to give in to Trump's demands because, after all, he's more powerful than us, And I think, I was thinking, walking over here, I was like, do they have any understanding of the courage that people like you display every day? I mean, it's like if these people had 1 ounce of the courage in responding to Donald Trump that you exercise every single day in Hebron, then we would actually be able to survive this onslaught, you know, in the United States. And so, I don't know, that's, I guess what I've always wondered, one of the things I've always wondered about you, Issa, is like, how do you, even as the conditions become more brutal and more, and the apartheid is deepening and deepening, and you're at risk so often, you know, how do you get up and do this every single day again, even though you know that it's putting your life at risk, and you also know that the prospects of success in the short term are not great?
You are asking very hard questions. Okay, first I want to thank you all for coming tonight. And I want to thank all the organizers. And I want to tell you something very important. Without you, I will not have that much courage on the ground. I had very bad experiences in the last, you can say, 18 months. It's not easy, but I enjoy it. And even my life journey for nonviolence was not easy. But I love Peter, and I love each one of you who are here tonight to listen to me. I know that you are here tonight to, you know, give me some kind of respect and encourage me. I'm not trying to change you to come and join our cause. You are already there. But I talk to many, many people who are on the other side. And I'm winning many of them. This gives me hope that we are winning people. When I knew Peter, few people told me from this side or that, no, don't talk to Peter. Look, where is Peter now? Really, to be very honest. So there are many people all over the world are joining our just cause. And me personally, Issa, I tell you this. I'm on the ground. I am in the front line because of you. Not only me see that. Nowadays, Palestinians in Hebron and all over Palestine talking about the students in Columbia University, talking about the students in Harvard University and in many other universities. They are talking about your protests. They are talking about all the protests. Wow, we are not alone. Wow, look how many people are supporting our cause. That's giving people energy to remain and stay strong in front of the Israeli occupation. So you have a very important role to keep our land, to keep our cause. And I was talking to Dr. what's her name, that she says, Issa, look, I told her, listen to me. We are in defense. We are defending the land and the narrative. You are doing great with the narrative here. And we are doing great to stay in the land. And the film No Other Land won Oscar. Many Israelis got jealous from how Palestinian film about Palestine won Oscar. We can do it. We are a great nation. We are very smart. We are so educated. We are a normal nation as everybody else on earth. So me, Issa, my journey to nonviolence and activism is so special. Why? My parents were the hardest part to convince to join nonviolence resistance. So my father lost his father in the 50s. My grandfather was smuggling goods between Gaza and the West Bank. And he was killed by the Israeli occupation. So my father was raised as an orphanage, suffering from the hardness of life. So he didn't want me to be in a very, dangerous situation. And even my father is a teacher, and he's very hardcore, teacher. He was injured 1967, badly injured by the occupation. So as Issa, I was doing two things. To study very hard, to be the best student in the class, and to play soccer, play football. What changed me a little bit was the Ibrahimi Mosque massacre, 1994, when Baruch Goldstein broke into the mosque, killed 29 Palestinians, and hundreds were injured. So I didn't go to my school for 3 months, and we lost 2 students from the school. One of them was playing soccer with me every morning. That made me ask, who's Baruch Goldstein? Who is that person who broke into the mosque, killed the people, the worshippers? Because I didn't know. I was just a student, a Palestinian student who is going to school, and I was not politicized at all. Because they accuse Palestinian families of politicizing their children and putting them in front. My family didn't. Not only my family, many other families didn't. I tried to be a little bit, politicized, but my father pushed me back to my dream to become a professor in engineering. That was my dream. I continued. I went into college, Palestine Polytechnic University, and to be in engineering college, how many engineers do we have here? Not many, very few. You know what it means to study engineering. It's not easy. It's so hard. I used to go to school, to university, come back, stay with the same clothes to the next morning, go back to the school, to the university. Very hard. It's not easy, and to be a good student in university. So I was investing a lot of time without social life in university. And the occupation say, why Palestinians act against the occupation? I went to one of the morning, 2003, to university. I found it closed for good. All the campus, the gates, the doors, sealed and closed. And I'm an engineer, almost. It was my last year. I was ready to do anything, to revenge, anything. Imagine, put in your imagination, someone, an engineer, using all his skills to revenge, an automation engineer. And I was asked to do violence, to revenge from the occupation. I could do it. I refused. I went to Yahoo search, not Google. It was Yahoo my time. How to make a revolution. Luckily, what came first was the civil rights movement here. So I was inspired by Martin Luther King. We need it back now after Trump. Okay? So it's very important. So I read about the civil rights movement. Wow, great, good ideas. Gene Sharp books. Oh, Gene Sharp has many ideas. Then more Gandhi, more anti-apartheid movement, South Africa. But they were all not Muslims. So how I go to students, Muslim students, and tell them, let's do this. So I searched more. I found a Pakistani non-violence activist, his name Bacha Khan. Wow, a lot of good ideas. I went back to the students. I led all of them. They were following me. Thousands of students. We occupied the campus, reopened the doors, challenged the Israeli military in the middle of the second intifada. And the army gave up after a few months because we challenged them. We sat in, and when they came, they found thousands of students sitting. What to do with them? Because we as Palestinians, we fight to get education. Students now in Palestine, they fight to go to schools. They fight to go to universities. Imagine that even the students who are not good in the school, they fight the soldiers at the checkpoint to allow them to go to their schools. Because education is part of our struggle against the occupation. Because we know the occupation doesn't want us to be educated, to easy control us. We are aware of that. And the Palestinian families invest a lot in education. We won as students, and I graduated as an activist and as an engineer. And for me, to be very honest, it was not about occupation. It was about education. You know, I started my nonviolence activism to get my educational degree. It was not about free Palestine. When I won, I tasted the victory of winning against the occupation. And nonviolence for me was a tactic, not a strategy. By organizing more and more, I became convinced it's the best way to make the Israeli occupation costly. And by time, I started doing more actions, more campaigning, and I said, okay, why I keep only talking to international groups? Let's establish a Palestinian group. So I established Youth Against Settlements, and many youth joined. Many people, when I go to universities in Palestine to talk to them, many of them, they want to join. Their main question is, can you convince my mother? Can you convince my father? What I say to my mother? So I tell them, do what I used to do. I used to block my mother on social media. To be very honest, I had a brother, his name Ahmad, he passed away, unfortunately. He used to lie to them. Issa is traveling. Where is Issa? He's traveling, but I'm in jail. This is how I used to do it, okay? And by time, you are so convinced you can make a change. As more action I do, as I am more hated by the Israeli occupation. And they don't know what to do with me. I'm a non-violence activist. I have no violence record in my life. And I'm so committed to increase the cost of the Israeli occupation using non-violence resistance. So they don't know what to do, really. Arrested many times, smeared, intimidated. They tried to put me. They tried to go after my friends. They tried to punish the families. It didn't work. Because determination can make a difference. And many missions I did, it was impossible missions. One of the main missions I did was to bring back Palestinian families to Gawawis next to Susia, 2004. Then bringing people back to Tel Rumeda, bringing people back to that neighborhood, try to stay with the families, train them legally, try storytelling, try to bring internationals, connect them to media, connect them to lawyers. My day became full of activism. Not only me, many Palestinian new generation are doing great. One of the best things I did in my life, which I'm very proud, was to establish the idea of documentation using the video camera. 2007, we started filming army, soldiers, going after their violence, but whenever they see the cameras, they disappear. So I said, why we don't give cameras to the families? So I brought cameras, and I wanted to give it to the Palestinian families. So I go to the family, he said, no. What's going on? It's a donation. It's a great camera. They said, no. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? You know, we will be a target. So I looked to the man. He refused. I looked to the mother. Do you want it? She says, yes. Okay, because the women in Palestine are so strong. They are the ones who are, they are the decision makers in the house. Outside the house, you see the man strong, but inside the house, the woman is... Now even outside, they are getting stronger outside in the community, and that's great, okay, to be very honest. So we started the project, and it was amazing. First, we got video evidence of army and settler violence. We get something very important. You know what we got? Protection. You know what it means, protection? We live under the Israeli military law. In the military system, you are guilty until you are proven innocent. You are guilty until you are proven innocent. The settlers attack the house, and they call the soldiers, and they claim that the family attacked them. Then the kids are in jail, and the men are in jail. They were attacked by settlers. So we started getting videotapes, you know, and I trained the families how to hide the tape, how to film, how to have, you know, protect each other. I gave them a promise to accept the camera that in 5 minutes I will reach you. That you start filming, in 5 minutes I reach you. So I was going everywhere So they got crazy, okay? And the cameras made a huge difference, to the point that the soldiers used to arrest me. They detain me, put me on the wall to search me. I tell the soldier, but it's, do whatever you want. That family is filming. Look, smile to the camera. The soldier. One time, 2000 and maybe 11, 12, a settler woman accused me of sexual harassment. I was passing the checkpoint in Shuhada Street, the main street in Hebron. Soldiers detained me and put me aside. I felt suspicious. Why they detained me? Nothing is happening. So I started voice recording. I started my phone, voice recording. So a settler woman passed. She came back to me and said, you said bad words to me, sexual words to me. In 5 minutes, all the settlement went out. They wanted to kill me. How come I dare to sexually harass a Jewish woman in Hebron? And the army brigade commander, 3 stars commander, came to me, put the gun on my chest. Issa Amro, I will kill you now. I told him, it's okay. You are voice recorded now. She was voice recorded. The soldiers are voice recorded. Everything is documented. My friends are filming there too. So he looked. He went back. To be very honest, what? I said, I have all the evidence. So we went both to the police. They found her lying, but she was not punished. But at least I was protected from voice recording and filming from far. That's the beauty of camera, of the video camera. Something else, we had a dream to distribute 20,000 cameras to end the occupation. Now, it's a culture that Palestinians are filming everywhere. And you saw the video of the Palestinian paramedic, Rafat, his name, or Rafat, from Gaza, which was published by New York Times, when he was going to rescue injured Palestinians who were shot by the Israeli occupation, and how he was killed, and we saw his last minutes. It's not only him. Many Palestinians now are aware of documentation, and it's a nightmare for the Israelis. I was one of the witnesses of the ICC. Now, with the ICC, we are going after settlements and settlers. Recently, you will hear something about a case raised or arrest warrant for settler leaders in the West Bank. So I'm one of the main witnesses. When I went to meet the prosecutor in Jordan, I gave him a lot of video materials. He liked it. He told me, Issa, wow, what is this? I told him, documentation. I was waiting this moment that Israel will be accountable in the International Criminal Court. Not only me, many other Palestinians see it that way. So the occupation tried, they did their best, everything possible to stop nonviolence resistance. Is Issa the only nonviolence activist in Palestine? Am I the founder of the nonviolence resistance in Palestine? No. We have a great Palestinian leaders from the 80s and the 90s, and if you go back to Palestinian nonviolence history, the majority of the Palestinian resistance was nonviolence resistance. But because of social media, we know more now, and because I speak English as well. Many Palestinian protesters and many Palestinian farmers in Susia, in Jinba, each farmer in Area C is a Palestinian nonviolence resistance, and they deserve to be called Gandhis. All of them. They are in their land, protecting the land, in spite of the brutality of the Israeli military and the brutality of the Israeli occupation. I will talk now about October 7th, what they did to them and what they did to me and what they are doing to everybody else. All of them are doing amazing. Palestinian farmers, they are protecting the land, staying in the land. Israel is not able until now to evict Jimba, which is few Palestinian families in the desert. To reach them from Hebron, it's 2 hours for me. It's not easy to reach them. They were attacked last week, and 22 of them were arrested. They were beaten, they destroyed and damaged their tents, but they remained and they stayed. in spite of everything. That's nonviolent resistance. Palestinian students going to school, passing the checkpoints, fighting the difficulty. It's nonviolent. Palestinian workers waking up at 3 a.m. to go to their work and come back. What is that? It's resistance. So for us as Palestinians, existence is resistance. So many people protest peacefully with the villages, with the communities, with the towns, every day. And nobody's talking about them. Why? Because they don't want us to be seen as human beings. They want to stereotype us that people like to die. Yes, I have the courage. I am brave activist, but I don't want to die. I fear. I'm gaining weight because I'm not able to walk around after October 7th. Because it's not easy, it's dangerous, so I don't walk, I stay home. Yes, it's very dangerous. So by time, we are winning. And some people that we are not winning, we are losing. How come? Israel is labeled as apartheid state now. Did you dream about that? No. Israel is labeled as apartheid state. Something else. Israel now is accused of genocide. The Prime Minister of Israel, don't say Netanyahu, is wanted by the International Criminal Court. More settler leaders will be wanted by the International Criminal Court. Do you think that is small? That is big. That is the way to make the occupation costly and make them accountable for their aggression, for their apartheid, and for their genocide. Do Palestinians pay a price? There is no change without paying a price. Unfortunately, the children and the women in Gaza are paying high price. But West Bank, from day one, in October 7th, you know what happened? The first thing the Israeli settlers and soldiers did was to kidnap me. This is what they wanted to do. So I was telling them in Hebrew, Gaza, what are you doing to me? Go to Gaza. Because I was kidnapped by the Israeli soldiers and the Israeli settlers, my neighbors. I was going home, I found the settlers in an army uniform. They kidnapped me, handcuffed me, gagged me, blindfolded me, sexually assaulted me, beat me up for 12 hours. They were listening to music, to loud music, when they were torturing me. That was not easy to me and to be very honest, I thought it's my last minutes. So I said, Issa, your last minutes, you should give them hard time too. Really, to be very honest, And in the midnight, when they wanted to take me out, to release me, I thought that they want to take me from the military base, ask me to walk in the field to shoot me outside. Because they put the gun on my head, I was beaten, attacked, fainted 2 times without any medical treatment. I was beaten all over my body, sexually assaulted by them. They were crazy. And they were rejoicing, torturing me. And they are torturing a Palestinian whom they know well, whom they know his politics. I am known to the soldiers, I am known to the settlers that I'm not Hamas. I'm a nonviolence activist. And I support nonviolence everywhere, in all languages. So they wanted to take me out. So I told him, give me a jacket, I'm shaking because of cold, not because I'm afraid of you. And I will not walk outside, shoot me here. I'm not walking outside. He says, you are not afraid to be killed? I told him, no, I think I did my duty. So for me, Issa, I live a hard life, okay? I live very hard life. But I'm doing my duty. I'm not selfish. I'm using my fame, I'm using my degree, I'm using my knowledge, I'm using my experience to help my people. It's not for me. We were not born to be selfish. We were born to have a dream as Martin Luther King. He gave up his life to make Obama the president of the United States, to make black people equal in this land. And me personally, I believe that way. We should be ready to pay the price for what are we doing, and we are doing the right thing, because we have a choice between to be war makers as Netanyahu and his gangs, or not mentioned at all, and we live only for ourselves and be selfish, or be defenders as Peter and as everybody in this room. You are all in the right side of history. You are all in the side right of history. This is what I had in my mind in my last minutes when I remembered that that's it. It's the end of my life in October 7th. Then they released me. It's a very long story. They released me a rich home. It's a few meters from the military base where I was held. They didn't give me mitigation. I didn't have food in the house. I was alone for 1 week without food. They prevented my Israeli friends to bring me food. So the first group from Jerusalem, they came to give me food. They were detained and beaten by the Israeli soldiers, and they stole the food from them. And they know that they were coming to me. They caught them outside the house. That's in the first week of October. Then starvation came after in Gaza. So the mentality of making Palestinians starve, it's there in their system. And they want us to do starvation to get rid of us. So they make our life costly. How they make it? You don't feel safe because of the settler violence and the army aggression, and they are doing it all over now. I explained to you, I will update you about West Bank. You have no social life. I have nobody visits me since October 7th. Almost only internationals and few Israelis, they come from human rights organizations and journalists. Palestinians are not allowed to pass the checkpoints to come to visit me or to visit other Palestinian families. And no services, no maintenance, and no Palestinian national identity. A flag on your shirt is not allowed now. So they do their best to make it hard and hard to displace the Palestinians. And they are announcing it. So from October 7th in West Bank, the economy collapsed in West Bank. In West Bank, I'm not talking about Gaza. Unemployment rate is around 50 to 70%. People don't have enough food to eat. For the first time, I started giving out food packages. I never did that because I don't believe in dependency theory. If anybody asks me for help, I tell them, give me your children or your daughters to train them to do crafts, to become a craftsperson. Electrician, plumber, beauty. I train them, to be able to work. This is me, this is my job, engineering job. But people are starving, so the economy is collapsing. Restrictions of movement from 100 checkpoints in West Bank to 900 checkpoints. So we in West Bank move between checkpoints. The villages, the towns, the cities are all closed. It's not only H2 in Hebron, it's closed. H1 is closed. So to go outside Hebron and to get inside Hebron, it's closed. The majority of the days, there is no stability. Closure here, closure there. And something else very important, settlements and annexation. I recommend that you go and read the report of Peace Now. It's peacenow.co.org. .org.co, it's both .co.il, but you find the English.org. For the first time, they built settlements in Area B. You know that the Palestinian territory, according to Oslo, is classified A, B, C. This time, B, which is under the Palestinian Authority, civilian control, they demolished houses in Area B, and they have outposts in Area B, around 8 outposts. Outposts are different from settlements in Israel. All settlements, according to Geneva Convention, Article 49, are illegal, and it's the ICC now. But in Israel, they sort settlements as legal and as illegal. The legal ones, which got approval from the Israeli government. The outpost, they are the ones which was made as initiative from the Israeli settlers. But the Israeli government gave out more than 300 million shekels in 2024 for outposts, illegal settlements. 8 of them in Area B. 7 billion shekels to build roads for settlements in few years. This is the Israeli government spending. This is your tax money. Okay? They built more than 100 kilometers of illegal roads. They are now establishing 5 new settlements in the West Bank. They declared 24,000 dunams as a state land. From 1993 to 2023, since Oslo to 2023, they declared 45,000 dunams. In 2024, half of the amount they declared. So they are speeding up settlements. They are using the momentum of war, that all the attention is about Gaza, to take more land, to evict Palestinians. Few Palestinian communities left Area C. So they are speeding up. Soldiers they're very crazy. The Israeli military, it's not good for them. The Israeli military is acting as militia. The soldiers don't follow the instruction of their commanders. They go Palestinian houses. After they search and damage everything in the house, they search the house and they damage the furniture upside down, they draw stars of David. So they attack Judaism. They are using, we are not the ones who are undermining Judaism. They are the ones. Our cause is very far from anti-Semitism. For us as Palestinian activists and Palestinian people, anti-Semitism equals Islamophobia equals racism. Our cause is clean. Anti-Semite people can be the friends of Netanyahu, not the friends of Issa Amro. I don't accept them. I don't want them to be part of my movement. The anti-Semite people, they have somewhere else. And many of them are in pro-Israel now, unfortunately. It means that Israel is not protecting the Jews, and we should distinguish between Judaism and occupation and apartheid and supremacy, because now it's about Israeli supremacy. So after October 7th, they work hard to stop us. But I will tell you a secret. From October till now, I see it's my best achievement as a nonviolence activist. I went underground. I'm establishing a cinema, the one we started together 2016, and I was not able to do it since 2016. I'm doing now. It will be reopened, it will be opened in 2-3 months only. What it means to establish a cinema? It means infrastructure for living. Because they try to remove the infrastructure of the Palestinian people to live. So how we protect the resilience of the Palestinian people? Cinema, school, kindergarten, quality life, do gathering with all the families. So this is nonviolence. This is what I do. For the first time, I had a big group of women organizing themselves to do photo exhibitions, to document the occupation, to play with the kids all together. And it's amazing. From October 7th until now, my dream about ICC is happening. This is something very important. The stigma of genocide, it's on Israel. This is not something small. Many people say, Issa, we are losing. No, we are not losing. We are winning. As it gets harder, we raise our expectation to win. It's hard, it's difficult, but we in the ground, to be very honest, we are really seeing the end of occupation is happening, and it's coming. What we need as Palestinians to reform our leadership. We need to reform PLO to include all Palestinians. in spite of their opinions, because diversity is the beauty of Palestine. It's the origin of all Abrahamic religions. We are very proud of that. I can't deny the rights of Jews in Palestine, or the rights of Christians in Palestine, or the rights of Muslims in Palestine, or the rights of people who are secular, who are atheists. This is the beauty of diversity. Everybody owns Palestine, but they own Palestine as people who believe in justice and equality and freedom of everybody, not the ones who believe that they own everything for themselves because God chose them. And something else, Itamar Ben-Gvir is the follower of Meir Kahane, which was announced as a terrorist group here in the United States. Now he's a mainstream in Israel. I tell the Israeli groups who come to meet me, Itamar Ben-Gvir is our gift as occupied people to the Israelis. It's our gift, it's our donation. We donated him from Hebron to you because you were silent about his aggression, his violence toward Palestinians since very long time. And the Israelis are suffering now from Itamar Ben-Gvir and from Smotrich, who are trying to impose the Sharia law on all the Israelis. So in Israel, they are shaking. They don't know what to do. They're stuck. They either end the occupation, end apartheid, end supremacy, and come and open their hands for peace, or they will pay a very high price. And they are now paying because of all of you, because of all your hard work, and we see it, and we are so grateful about what you're doing, and your work, your activities, your actions give us energy to continue and remain very strong. I didn't know how I come in here, to be very honest. I thought that they will not allow me to come in. I'm well known to the system. I'm well known to everybody. But I decided to come and challenge the visa, to be my visa to be revoked, because I am famous. So I said, if they want to revoke my visa, I'm a non-violence activist, let them revoke it. Let them revoke my visa. What's wrong, What I lose? Zoom is great too. I can do Zoom. Technology, it's technology now without any borders. But it was much harder to go into my house than to go into the United States. Because each time I pass the checkpoint, I'm hustled, harassed, detained, delayed by the soldiers. But I met today the students in Harvard Law School. Are you going to Harvard? Many people tell me, yes, in Harvard, inside Harvard. Yes, I gave a lecture today. And what the result of the lecture? Tomorrow, I'm meeting them to talk about how we can organize nonviolence actions and nonviolence activities. It's taking me back to 2003 to sit with the students and campaign together. That's the way, as Peter started the speech, to make Mr. 47 weaker. He will not be weak when we stay home and go low profile. He will be weaker with many, many protests as handoff, with many, many protests all over the United States, with campaigning, with creativity, with going after him in the media, with TikTok, with everything, because he loves TikTok too. You don't see him. I see him a lot in TikTok. So it's really the way to challenge dictatorships, to go down to the streets. They can't arrest all of us. They can't kill all of us. They can't revoke the visa of everybody is coming to the United States. They need the students to come to Harvard and to Columbia University from overseas. They need the investments. They need people to come here. They contribute to the American economy. But when we are united, we are much stronger. My message to you, this is the end of my speech, to be united, to accept other voices, to accept the differences. No other land is not normalization. It's the best tool to end the occupation. And BDS is a great idea, but it's a tool. It's not a goal. It's a tool in the toolbox to end the occupation. We use it whenever we want. Not to accuse one of the best films for Palestine, telling the narrative of Palestinian people fighting their oppressors every day in their daily routine, normalizers. Calling them normalizers mean killing them in Palestine. And Hamdan, 1 week after he came back from Oscar, he was attacked by settlers and then arrested by soldiers. What protected him and what protected me many times? The people who campaigned all over the world. And many people say Israel doesn't care. No. Israel cares about its reputation, about its image. And attacking the reputation and the image of the occupation is not anti-Semitism. And it's not destroying the Jews. On the contrary, it's the best way to reduce anti-Semitism and violence to minimum. On the contrary, we are doing the right thing. They are doing the wrong thing. They are the ones who are generating anti-Semitism and violence. We are the ones who are reducing it. We are all together here. So it's very important to be united and not judge people who are fighting, not judge people who are trying to make a change. We need everybody in this movement, in spite of their beliefs. We need unity and diversity, and we need creativity as well. This is something very important. Here, it's 18 groups who are sponsoring this event. I hope that everybody works with everybody. We all find something in common. There is a goal. 2 states, 1 state, you want whatever you want. We have a goal to end occupation and apartheid and the injustice. In any way we see it happening, because we are creating a movement to make it happen now. We are not, out of solutions. We are not that we want a great solution. No, we want a great movement to make any possible great solution possible. Thank you very much.
It's really, I'm really humbled to be speaking with Issa, from whom I've learned so much. I consider my teacher and someone who has changed my own relationship, not just to Palestine and Israel, but indeed to being Jewish itself. I mean, I took my son, Ezra, to meet Issa in Hebron, and I remember people said to me, someone close to us said, you have no right to endanger your son by bringing him into a Palestinian area in Hebron. And I remember we were walking, and Issa was walking me through the market in the old market in Hebron, which was now just desolate because of restrictions on entry. And then at a certain point, and there were you couldn't see any soldiers or settlers. And I had this voice in the back of my head, which was the voice of my friend, who said, "Are you crazy to go without any protection, without the protection of the Israeli state soldiers, to be surrounded by Palestinians with your son? Are you crazy?" And the voice was in the back of my head, and it was also, in some ways, a voice that I had heard my whole life, to be afraid of Palestinians. And then, at a certain moment, I lost sight of Issa. And then I thought, oh my gosh, it's true. Like, how naive, what a stupid, naive liberal I am. I've put myself in grave danger. I don't even know where Issa was. And he was gone for a minute. And then he came back with a bar mitzvah present for my son. who was 12. And he still has that. And for me, that thing that Issa bought in the market, to me, symbolizes for me a transformation of what it means to be Jewish. To a different way of thinking about what it means to be a Jew, and a different way about thinking about Jewish safety. Not Jewish safety at the expense of Palestinians, but Jewish safety because Palestinians are safe, Jews will be safe as well. And Issa mentioned Baruch Goldstein. One of the reasons that Baruch Goldstein and people like him come to the city of, in Hebrew they call it Hebron, is because it's a holy city in Judaism. It's in Jewish tradition, in Hebron, in the Ibrahimi Mosque, in the Tomb of the Patriarchs, is where Jews believe that Abraham and Sarah and Isaac and Rebekah and Leah and Jacob and even Adam and Eve were buried. Not Rachel, she got buried in Bethlehem for other reasons, but according to Jewish tradition. But I was thinking, what does it mean for a city to be holy, right? From a Jewish perspective, right? As I think about Judaism, Judaism starts with the notion that all human beings are created in the image of God. And the political corollary of that, if the religious principle is that all people are created equal in the image of God, then the political implication of that is that all people should be equal under the law. That all people should be treated equally under the law, irrespective of their religion or their ethnicity or their state or their gender or their sexual preference or identity or whatever. And so how can you say that you've come to Hebron because it's holy, because you want to make it more holy, when your presence there is deepening and entrenching a system of legal supremacy in which one group of people are treated as legal superiors and one group of people are treated as legal inferiors, right? That seems to me fundamentally opposed to the principle of what is holy in Judaism. Abraham Joshua Heschel, who marched with Martin Luther King, said that the only thing that is created in the image of God is the human being, every human being. And so when I think about what makes Hebron a holy city, I think of Issa as someone who is fighting for that principle of human equality. And something, it seems to me, has gone very strangely wrong in American Jewish life when the question that's constantly being asked again and again and again is, does Israel have the right to exist as a Jewish state? Because if the principle is that human beings, not states, but human beings are created in the image of God, then the question you start with is, do human beings have a right to exist, right? Not do states have a right to exist. States have only conditional value, not unconditional value. They're only valuable to the degree that they protect the life and the flourishing of the human beings under which they live, right? And yet I find in the Jewish community in which I live, in the organized American Jewish community, people demand that you accept Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. I never hear that people demand that you accept the right of Palestinians in Gaza to exist, right? The right of Palestinians in the West Bank and in Hebron, the rest of the West Bank to exist. Their right as human beings to exist is, at best, conditional. The right of the state to exist is absolute, irrespective of what the state does, right? But if you start with the rights of the human being and the equality of the human being, and you see a state that is not just failing to protect people's lives, but killing people and destroying them and violating their dignity in very, very large numbers, then the nature of the state needs to be reimagined. It needs to be rethought so it does a better job of protecting the right to exist of the human being, right? And the United States, the kind of state that the United States was reimagined, was changed in the civil rights movement to be a state that would come closer to respecting the principle of the infinite equal dignity of all of its people. And I think that we're in a moment in which that principle needs to be reasserted in Israel and Palestine and also here in the United States. That that to see a state as more important than the people who live in the state is actually a form, I think, in Jewish tradition of idolatry, because it's the worship of something that's human-made, right? You don't worship states. You subject them to criticism, right? And you try to change them if they don't respect the rights and dignity of the human being. And I guess the last thing I would just say is that if we think about what Donald Trump is trying to do at Harvard University, it seems to me that the way I make sense of it is that Donald Trump, in order to create an authoritarian regime, he wants to cripple, kind of domesticate, control any institution, significant institution that is not under his authority, right? So whether it could be law firms or independent media or even parts of the federal government that have traditionally been not under the direct control of the president. And so it's not surprising that someone like that would go after universities, because universities are not under his control. They teach young people to think critically, to think differently, to challenge people in power. They have historically been sources of dissent. So Donald Trump could come up with a lot of different pretexts for his efforts to basically destroy these universities or kind of take them under his control. He doesn't really mind if Harvard is going to have computer science students who go and work at Goldman Sachs, but he doesn't want Harvard to be the kind of place that would teach kids to think in ways that might lead them to challenge his authority, right? But he could use many different pretexts, right? At University of Pennsylvania, he actually didn't use the pretext of anti-Semitism. He said it was because of a transgender swimmer, right? So why is Donald Trump making anti-Semitism central to this effort to cripple American universities and destroy the principles of academic freedom and free speech? I don't think it's because he cares passionately about the rights of Jews, right? I mean, after all, this is a guy who's made more anti-Semitic statements by far than any other American president or any other national politician in American politics in at least half a century, right? And surrounded himself with people who are openly anti-Semitic for many, many years, right? I think the reason that he's using this pretext is because he knows it will be harder to oppose him. Because the problem is that that leaders in the Democratic Party have already conceded the basic premise. The premise is that the movement for Palestinian freedom is fundamentally anti-Semitic, and that universities haven't cracked down enough. They haven't cracked down enough, even though many of them have suspended or their branches of Students for Justice in Palestine, suspended their branch of Jewish Sports for Peace, suspended, expelled lots of people, right? But still, Democratic leaders like Chuck Schumer are saying the movement is anti-Semitic and the universities haven't cracked down enough. And if you accept that, if you stipulate that premise, then you're not in a very strong position to oppose Donald Trump when he says, yeah, look, we have to go further. We have to deny them their funding. We have to go and take people off the streets, right? And so it seems to me the thing that we have to do is we have to challenge that basic premise, right? It's not that every single thing that's said in every rally or every chant that's done in the name of Palestinian solidarity is one that I would agree with, right? There were lots of people who chanted things in the anti-war movement in Vietnam that I probably wouldn't have agreed with, right? Or in the anti-apartheid movement, or in the movement against lots of things, right? These movements bring together lots of people, and as you said, people don't agree on everything, right? But the basic principle, right, that people should be treated equally and that you should not have a state based on Jewish supremacy, but you should have a system based on legal equality, is not anti-Semitic. It's not bigoted. It's the opposite of bigoted, right? Anti-Semitism is wrong because it denies Jews equality. It's not anti-Semitic to deny Jews supremacy, right? That's actually the opposite of bigotry. And I guess and one of the really perverse things that's happened is that the dirty little secret that the American Jewish establishment doesn't like to talk about, or Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about this movement on college campuses that is supposedly threatening the safety and rights of Jewish students, is that it includes many, many, many Jewish students in it, right? At University in Michigan right now, there are 11 students who are on trial for offenses related to the encampment at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. 11. 6 of them are Jewish. At Vanderbilt University, they expelled the school's only Jewish studies major because he was part of occupying the president's office, right? Last fall, universities dismantled at least 7, maybe as many as 10 sukkahs that were created in the observance of the Jewish holiday of Sukkot, and they were dismantled because they were Gaza Solidarity sukkahs, right? And the Anti-Defamation League, which is supposed to protect the rights of Jews to do things like observe Sukkot, applauded the dismantling of these sukkahs. When Columbia suspended Jewish Voice for Peace, the Anti-Defamation League thanked Columbia for keeping Jewish students safe. Even though they had just suspended an organization, the first word in that organization is Jewish, right? So what's happening here? In order to destroy and repress Palestinian activism, we actually see that the definition of what it means to be a Jew is being changed, right? And Donald Trump himself, as he usually does, said it most crudely of all. He said Chuck Schumer is no longer a Jew, he's now a Palestinian, right? By Donald Trump's definition, he is more of a Jew than Chuck Schumer is, because the definition of a Jew is someone who unconditionally supports Israel, right? So Mike Huckabee and Donald Trump are Jews because they unconditionally support Israel. But Jews who don't unconditionally support Israel are not actual Jews, right? And this might seem like Trump's own peculiar madness, but he's actually just reflecting what he hears from groups like the Anti-Defamation League, because they say that Judaism and Zionism are inseparable. So if you say being Jewish and being a Zionist are one and the same, then if you don't support the state of Israel, then you're not actually a Jew. You're actually, congratulations, you're an honorary Palestinian. And therefore, in the name of keeping Jews safe, we can suspend you, we can expel you, we can arrest you. At Dartmouth, when the president called in the New Hampshire police, and they zip-tied and hurled to the ground and then dragged along the ground the former head of the Jewish Studies program. This poor middle-aged woman still now has nerve damage from this assault. The Anti-Defamation League thanked Columbia for creating an atmosphere of safety on campus. Well, not safety for that woman, right? But this is actually the redefinition of what it means to be a Jew, and I think it's part of a very disturbing and strange pathology that exists in general, because I also see that in a lot of the rest of the United States, the definition of what it means to be a good Christian seems to be someone who supports Donald Trump, right? Christianity, I thought, like Judaism, has a universal moral vision about the dignity of all people, right? But the definition of what it seems to be, just as the definition of being a Jew in good standing means not do you observe Shabbat, not do you keep kosher, not do you tend to the sick, not do you wash the bodies of the dead, not do you take care of the widow and the orphan, but do you unconditionally support this state? It seems like in a lot of churches, the definition of what makes you a good Christian is not whether you care about the weak and the poor and the hungry. It's whether you swear undying loyalty to Donald Trump and believe that people who don't have an American passport are worthless, right? This is like the cancer of ethno-nationalism that I think is undermining the moral message that is inherent in Judaism and in Christianity as well. And when I look out at a crowd like this, it seems to me you are the people that will triumph over this and will help to build the movement that actually, in the spirit of all of the great American movements, is based on the principle of human equality, you know? And whenever I look out at audiences, like I often think, if I were here in 1985, these people would have been here protesting apartheid in South Africa. If I had been here in 1967, they would have been protesting the war in Vietnam. If I had been here in 1963, they would have been protesting against Jim Crow and segregation. If I had been here in 1859, they would have been protesting against slavery. There are just a group of Americans, generation after generation, who fight for that principle of human equality. And we are very lucky to have people like Issa on the ground who we can look to for inspiration, and we can take our courage from him, and it's an honor to be with you.
So I'm going to